his own life, his own country as well. So it gives a new dimension to the experience of volunteering. That's just one example of how you can run mutual volunteering projects.
We need to see clearly that the international voluntary service story is not necessarily for our benefit in the developing world in the primary instance, but in the primary instance is becoming a way of making those countries strong within a changing global environment. And one of the features of the global environment is that it is moving from a dependence on industrial economic work development to knowledge economies. Okay. And if they're in a knowledge economy, knowledge and experiential learning becomes an important part of how you equip your citizenry with the skills for your country to become competitive.
What do Europeans do with development education?
Great question.
And because so much around this from the sending organizations is about development education. We heard about the government of Germany sending 10,000 young Germans.
Well, they're not there yet.
To expose themselves to development issues, and we would assume that at some point there would be some benefits to that. What are those benefits? And particularly from a developing country point of view, I mean, we're faced with huge issues here on this continent.
The Swedish government, at least, are giving money for development education. One of the reasons, there are, I would say, three reasons. One of the reasons is that to obtain willingness among the Swedish population to pay tax for development. Because if the population doesn't want this, then it's politically difficult, right?
I think development education helps young people that haven't seen the world yet to have an open mind, and to start to understand things. These young people will become citizens. They will vote. They will express their mind. They will maybe be active citizens. They will do something, and this is a lot about making the whole society aware. Because when you live in the small city, in the countryside, wherever, you are not aware what is happening in the world. And I know it's not enough, and it's not going to solve maybe anything, but maybe it's something to raise the awareness. And those people are going to vote.
Okay, so it influences citizenship behavior.
What the role of possible future trade is in all of this? You know, trade, yeah. Possible future trade with African countries. The extent to which volunteerism is a process of preparing citizens of the European countries for possibly working in whatever, you know, you were mentioning profits, but you didn't go into the detail of it, in making a profit out of business in Africa, anticipated whether it will happen or not. A critical thing for us, we sort of for South Africa, I feel that identity of young South Africans is a very important thing for them to feel and be proud of being young Africans. But that it also equally important in the process of shaping identity and belonging for young people to develop the international identity too, feel like citizens of the world, to help prepare for the leadership of the future.
I see also a huge responsibility for these young people. First, they are the ambassadors for the sending organizations. They have to represent the sending organization. Then again, they are serving as a role model within the different projects for the young people and support the work of these hosting organizations. And then when they come back to the individual countries, they're also like ambassadors for their host countries. They show the culture of this country. So they have huge responsibilities on their shoulders, and we also shouldn't expect too much from these young people. I think the most important thing is to bridge the cultural gaps between each countries, and this is already a huge task for these young people.
Because I think being a volunteer is a learning process. It is, but I come there to learn, and hopefully I learn a lot. And while I learn, I can also, how should I say it?
Contribute.
Yeah, I can contribute.
And I think what's so important is what are the sending organizations or the hosting organizations telling the volunteer, and is it the same thing as the project is being told? Because the expectations can often be so different. And it's the responsibility of the projects to supply the hosting organizations with very clear job descriptions, very clear who's in charge of the volunteer training systems and so on, but there's definitely lots of help is needed.
I think there's a real need for hosting organizations to actually undergo some orientation on how to manage the volunteers, because oftentimes what we experience is that the volunteer arrives with those task descriptions that have been sent to the volunteer before they even arrive. But when they come here, it's a different reality. The volunteer will have to come and sit. They are being utilized for things that they didn't come here for, like sitting as a receptionist. And oftentimes, us as a sending organization, we ask ourselves, is this really value for money if we bring a volunteer from far away as Netherlands to come and sit as a receptionist, whereas we can get someone whom we can impart those reception, or they are in fact available in country. So I think there's a need for organizations to, I don't know how to manage the volunteers so that they can get the maximum out of the volunteer skill. Do we have the infrastructure for that hosting organization to know what is it, how do I manage this volunteer? Is there such a training or orientation on how to manage that volunteer as a hosting organization? What is it that the volunteer needs? How do I make them happy?
So what I noted was that these young volunteers have been sent to a specific country, and then what they have been assigned is totally to what the host is expecting, and also is totally to what they have learned from college. So their contribution becomes very little because they have all the knowledge, they have all the skills, but they cannot put them in practice because it's not what they have been sent to do. So I would say that to improve this volunteering for the young volunteers, whenever we are signing them, let's try as much to see that whatever we are sending them to volunteer, have a relationship with what we have studied. They can be able to chip in what they are giving out, you know. And at the same time, of course, they lack the experience, but they will learn now. They give the knowledge, and this is how we are doing it with what they know. They can mix together and come up with something which also the host will be happy, or the community will be happy. This is one what I say. And also, I learned that when the volunteer come in like that now, and because they have not told others, now they start to know, to see, what am I here to do? Am I here to learn? Is my host not teaching me? Because the host didn't know. Because the host thought that this is the one who is like a specialist, a consultant coming to assist. Then, prepare the host to know the exact question, where he is teaching me. Second, this volunteer now is trying to do, once I do this, tomorrow I do that. In the end of the day, she has not done anything. But if she was guided, she could have come up with something. So we need also, if we think that we can send workers with specific knowledge or qualifications which they have, then we need to make at least a specific training. I remember we had national volunteers. They were not doctors, they were nothing, but we wanted them to go and sensitize people about HIV/AIDS. What we did, we trained them for 2 weeks on everything about HIV, prevention and everything, how to approach, because even entry point is a problem. When they went to the field, they did very well.
Something that has not been mentioned forward, which is very important in our experience, is that there is a very strong mentor involved. A mentor who knows the culture of the volunteers as well as the hosting organizations, and who can help to prevent a lot of misunderstanding. And I think what we need from sending organizations is that they not only appreciate the role that a mentor plays, but also are maybe capable of compensating, and I mean financial compensation for the mentor for the work that he's doing. I think a mentor is even more important than specific job descriptions, because a mentor can solve so many problems as they appear.
Joined to that